Hello, welcome back to RC Video Reviews. Tonight we're going to take a Sunnysky 2216 1250 kV V3 and put it on the judge. Everybody that I know that's into motors has said, John, you got to check out a Sunnysky V3. I finally not only had the airframe for it, but I found the right motor in stock at Sunnysky. So I finally have a Sunnysky V3 to test out, and I'm very excited to do that. So without wasting any time, let's get into it. As with every other Sunnysky motor I've ever unwrapped, this one was no different. Very austere packaging. Has everything you need, nothing you don't. Just a cardboard box and some plastic wrappers. But it's enough. It gets the job done, so I'm okay with that. All right, this Sunnysky 2216 is it's a 2834, so 28 wide and 34 long. Okay, so 27.7, that's exactly what the book says actually. So we'll call it a 28 millimeter, 28. And to the deck, it is a 32, and to the cross mount, it is, how could that be the same? Oh, because it is the same. The deck and the cross mount are the same height. So we'll call that 32. So this is a 3832 motor, and a 2832 motor. They say 2834. I'm not sure. Maybe they may be measuring to the top of the output shaft. Yeah, that's what it is. If you go to that round section right at the output shaft, it is 34, but I would really consider this a 32. So 2832 motor. The last generation of Sunnysky motors used this kind of a satin black scheme with the laser etching on the can, and I have to admit I kind of like that. In this one, it looks like it's a sticker, it's a decal, because this is an anodized blue bell housing and base with a white sticker and the imprinted material on the sticker. So I'm not a fan of that. I really prefer the way they used to do it with the markings etched into the can with the laser, because these can go bad. I'm just not a big fan of using stickers, so I think I'm surprised, I'll put it that way. Okay, as far as the windings go, I want to give you guys a look inside. This is one of the things that Sunnysky motors are known for. Look at how perfect those windings are inside. I mean, it's one of their claims to fame, and I think it's warranted. Everything inside there looks really nice. It looks like it's wound perfectly. You don't see wires skipping around or jumping, no bunching, and that, I think, goes to the efficiency of their motors, and that's one of the strong suits for sure. The silicone wires exiting the base of the can are very flexible, and it's got a nice heat shrink boot right there to protect the wires going into the base. Notice this is a short shaft version. There is no drive shaft coming out of the top of the motor or the bottom. The only thing going on the bottom is a clip to keep the can on, and then you are going to use the prop adapter screwing onto the front in order to mount your prop on this one. They do have a long shaft version. I just opted for this one because I prefer prop adapters if I have the choice. As far as the machining goes, everything on the outside looks really nicely done. You guys know how it is with me. I don't know the various shades of blue to save my life, so I'll just say it's blue. And the outside machining does look very good. Very lightweight base on the bottom, open, with a lot of ventilation on the bottom, on the base. And it's got this kind of cool little, it's got to be just decorative. These little diamond cut marks right here on the front that I don't think there's any functional use for those, but it looks pretty good. Okay, in addition to the motor, you get the screws that you need to mount the prop adapter to the front of the motor and the countersunk screws to mount the motor to the radial mount. So everything you need is in the bag. And then the prop adapter, one thing I noticed about this guy is it's very small. It's got a very small prop nut on there. It does include the washer, but very small. And they also include a bullet nose prop nut if you want to use this on the front of a plane, like maybe the MX2. Maybe that's what I'll be using on there. Probably will be. All right, that covers the first look. Let's go ahead and get this thing mounted up and on the judge. All right, guys, I've got the motor mounted on the Judge, but before we start the testing, I just wanted to go over a couple of quick details. We've already discussed the dimensions. I bought this motor for $22.80 on Sunnysky, and I wanted to point out a few things about the motor itself. It's a 69-gram motor, which is about right for the dimensions of the can. That makes sense to me. They list a max constant current of 40 amps, but they also list a constant watts of 600 watts, and I think that's way high, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, where I got that information. So here's the Sunnysky website, and I've got the 1250 kV pulled up, and right here there's an entry that says max continuous power 600 watts. So I think that's very assertive. In fact, when I look through the chart at all the different prop sizes and cell and voltages they used, I don't see anything that even approaches 600. So here's the 1047 on a 3-cell, 473 watts is what they're claiming. So 473 watts right there. And then they have a 9.6 on a 3-cell. That shows 327 watts right here. And then they show a 9.45 on a 3-cell, 277 watts. That makes sense. And then a 9.47, I'm assuming that's a slow fly on a 3-cell, 268. No surprises. And then they go down to an 8.6. And on 3-cell, they show 269 and 535. So I'm not sure where that 600 watt number comes from, because none of their test data is showing that. For my purposes, I'm going to go with the max amperage being around 40 amps. So they say max continuous current 40 amps for 30 seconds. That sounds more like a burst to me too, by the way. That doesn't sound like max continuous, because you don't put a time limit on the continuous rating. Continuous means continuous. So I really think they should be shooting for something a little more along the lines of 35 to 38 amps continuous with a peak of 40, maybe 42. And that's what I expect. So on the MX2 or the Value Hobby Hummer, I'll be flying a 1047 prop, and I'll be looking for something in this 470 watt range. But because I'm a review channel, and I also realize that not all of you are looking to fly this on a 3D plane, I did want to check out what a 9.6 looks like. So I've got a 9.6 prop out right here. We'll be testing that, and we'll be looking for about 320 watts. That seems to me to be the right number. That seems to me to be the right spot for this motor. Keep in mind, I've got that Turnigy 2836 1100, and that makes around 300 watts. And even the first motor that I had on that plane, which was that leftover Millennium Master motor, that thing was making 325 watts. So in this weight class, 310, 320, that sounds pretty right to me. But we'll see what happens. Okay, I've got to connect the battery and spool it up so I can get an idea what's going on with the KV, but then we'll get the 1047 slow fly mounted. We'll run that test, and when that's done, we'll get the 9.6 prop on there and run that one. Okay, so let's just take a look at what the KV is. Okay, I saw 1446, that fits with this test stand. Okay, 1446 kV. All my batteries tonight are going to be 3S22s. And the props, we're going to use a 10 by 4.7 slow fly. And we're going to use a 9 by 6. So I'll just go ahead and pre-populate those. Let's get a prop on here. One of my new props after breaking yet another one on the MX2. I'm going to take a measurement on that prop shaft so I can tell you guys exactly what it is. 4.9 is what that came out to be, so 4.9 millimeter prop shaft up front, which is really the same as you'd see on a compression, like a normal prop shaft that you use a compression collet on. That's what you'd see. All right, I've got everything mounted up and ready to go, but before I do, I want to take a quick temperature reading on the motor, and it looks like 86 degrees. Yeah, it's hot. It's late too, man. It's like 10 o'clock at night. It's 86 friggin' degrees on that static. Can you believe that? It's hot. All right. All right, I've got my goggles on. Everything's charged, ready to go. Prop sounds good. I already did a little test spin to make sure there wasn't anything out of balance. So I'm going to spin it up now. I'll be looking for thrust and RPM, and we'll trap the watts, the amperage, and the voltage after the run is complete. Okay, here we go with the first run of the Sunnysky 2216 1250 kV. This is a 3-cell battery with a 1047 slow fly prop by APC. Okay, it's showing about 112-ish degrees. That's hot. That's hot. I ain't gonna lie, that's hot. All right, let's check the numbers. Amps, we are at 41.33 amps, 488 watts. Good Lord. And on the voltage, we saw 11.5 on the sag. Good night, man. 488 watts? Are you kidding me? Good Lord. That is... You guys got to remember, man, I just did that other test. Okay, here's the worksheet that I had on the last motor that was supposed to be the rimfire. So you remember, the rimfire got smoked. So this was also about a 71-gram motor. It produced 326 watts on 27 amps. And that measured kV was 1643, so that was actually spinning a little faster. This thing is a 1446 measured on this one, which is off, we know that, but let's just go with the 1250. And it put out 488 watts on a 1047. Good night, man. That's really something else. All right. We'll do the math later, but I'm going to get this 1047 slow fly off, and we're going to get the 9.6 on there and take a look at that one. Yeah, 1,924 grams of thrust on that last pull. And by the way, man, the last motor was 1317 on thrust. I mean, what the heck? What is going on here? Sunnysky. That Emax GT, that's a 2826 860, but that was swinging a 4S. That's not the same class of motor. Here you go. The flight test radio 2218. This is a 2216. That was a 2218 1180 kV. That made 1,500 grams of thrust. This made 1,900 grams of thrust. The wattage 365. This made 488. Although, that was an APC 1047 slow fly. Yeah. Holy smokes, man. 9536 RPM. And that was an efficiency of 4.1 to 1. So yeah, that radial had a nice efficiency number running that 1047 slow fly. But I'll tell you what, man, 365 watts against 488. What do you think? That's the same class of motor. Same motor. All right. That's nuts, man. Nuts. Sunnysky. Good gosh, what are you guys doing? All right. They got, I don't know what's going on. I can't. I'm just, what the heck? Okay, let's run the test with it. This is a brand new battery, freshly charged, 3-cell. Not brand new. I mean, it's freshly charged. This has got a little bit of puff to it, but it's not dramatic. I want to take one more temperature reading before we start. Let's see. This is saying we're down to 96 degrees. So yeah, that's close enough to ambient to start. No penalty on heat with that one. Okay, 9.6. We expect this to pull somewhere south of 350 watts. That's what I expect. But let's run it and see what happens. Remember, I will be looking for thrust and RPM. We'll pull watts and volts and amps after the pull. Now make sure nothing is vibrating here. It's not. That sounds good. All right, let's run it. Whoa. We started taking off here. I guess it wasn't clamped down hard enough. That's going to suffer a little bit because we're not going to be at exact peak voltage, but that's too bad. Safety first. Oh, shit. My battery fell out. That's all right, I'm going to run it again. Okay, let's take a temperature reading on that, and it's looking like 116. That's hot. Not going to lie, that's hot. That's hot. 120. Yeah, that's hot. Yikes. Well, they're making a lot of power, man, but they're putting out some heat through that can, I can tell you that. Okay, That was a little bit of an unfortunate situation because the prop had some vibrations up high, but it didn't have any down low. Yeah, down low it sounds really good, but up high I heard some vibrations. So, and what happened was my battery came loose out of the judge, but we still got some pretty respectable numbers, and I think they'll be sufficient. I don't think you'll be disappointed with this answer. So amperage was 33.93. The volt sag was 11.38. That's pretty good. We saw 11.5 on the last battery with one pole. And the watts, 390 watts. What the? Okay. All right. Let's just say, okay, look, let's do the math. Sunnysky, you guys are wrecking the model. I'm going to have to relearn to predict. All right, let's do the math. All right, guys, let's wrap this thing up. Well, I'll tell you what, Sunnysky, they never cease to amaze me. Every time I plug a Sunnysky motor in, I have a smile on my face when I'm done. The only thing I don't like about what I saw here is the heat. That definitely felt a little hot. And, you know, it's hot out right now. You know, that's a full power run, so we'll see. We'll see. I can tell you that the amp numbers were within their spec. Max constant amperage, they say on their website, is 40. I pulled at max 41.33 static. So I'm 1.3 amps over their continuous stated amperage rating. And I pulled 488 watts, 1,924 grams of thrust. When I divide that out for efficiency, it turns in a very, very respectable 3.94 to 1 on thrust to watts for efficiency on that 1047. And I did a couple of calculations for power to weight because I know it's either going to be on the MX2, which is 2 pounds, or the Hummer, which is supposed to be 1 pound. So if I'm on the Hummer, I'm looking at a 4.24 to 1 power to weight ratio, and if I'm on the MX2, I'm at a 4.12 to 1 power to weight ratio. On the 3-cell battery with a 9.6 prop, we made 390 watts and 1,373 grams of thrust. That gives us a power to weight ratio on a 1 pound plane at 3.03 to 1, and on a 2 pound plane, 1.51 to 1. The watts per pound number is the one that's really staggering. On the Hummer, it's 488 watts per pound. That's on par with the stick because that's 900 watts and that's about a 2.5 pound plane. And then the MX2, if I flew it on the MX2, I'd be looking at 244 watts per pound. All I can say is wow, wow. I know for a fact that Turnigy 2836 1100 kV running a 10 by 4.7 slow fly, I know that's putting out somewhere around 300 watts. I think it's 310, but I know that's a fact. So the 2836 Turnigy that I have on the MX2 right now, and by the way, that flew the MX2 just fine. I didn't have any complaints about it. 300 watts on that plane. This is not double, but it's 66% higher. 488 watts. It's 188 watts more. It's about 66% higher. A little less, 60% higher. We'll see. I'm going to put it on the plane, but I'll tell you what, man, Sunnysky just continues to impress me. I don't know how they do it. They're like blowing up the models. You expect a 70, you know, you guys may be wondering, well, why do I say the stuff that I say about motors? It's because I expect 70 gram motors to make around 300 watts. It's just what I expect. They've proven it time and time again. The Millennium Master, 326 watts. Where is it? Here it is. The Flight Test Radio, 76 grams, 365 watts, 237, 379. You know, it's in that neighborhood. Do I have anything else in here that's in that class? Nope. Here's a Leopard 2835, 1350 kV, 330 watts, right there. That's on a 965 slow fly. So a 1047 slow fly, yeah, that would make a little more, maybe, but not much. Here's that's a 3200. That's a jet motor. Tomcat G32. Yeah. Yeah, so that, you know, that's just data that I've collected, right? And I'm telling you, that's a lot of power for a 70 gram motor. It's an unbelievable amount of power for a 70 gram motor. So I'm going to put it in one of the bashers. It's either going to go in the Hummer or the MX2, and we'll see how it does. I'll fly it, and I'll give you some long-term data as I collect it. Hey, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please consider joining. A full 70% of my views come from people who aren't subscribed, and that really doesn't help out in terms of getting videos that I make placement. So if you like this kind of content and you want to see more of it, please help by subscribing. Join the channel, hit the notification bell, and join in the conversation. Leave a thumbs up, leave a thumbs down. Tell me what you think about the motor. Tell me if you have experience with these V3 motors. Talk to me. And then for those of you who've been around, you guys are doing great. I appreciate every one of you that participates regularly in the channel. Thanks for that. Don't forget to hit up my Amazon affiliate links if you need consumable RC gear, and check my t-shirt store if you'd like to have a cool RCVR t-shirt for your next fly day at the field. That's all I've got for today, guys. Take it easy. This is a short, notice this is a short shaft version. There is no shaft coming out the front for a compression collet. Let's try that again. Okay, notice this is a short shaft version. Notice beep. I'll be flying a 10-4-7 plot. That's on par with the stick, because that's a 900 watt. Hey, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, please consider joining and subscribing, because beep beep beep.